The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Zen Email Marketing webinar today. My name is Adriana Hernandez, and I'm going to walk you through how to send an email today. So I'm going to give everyone just maybe another minute to join before we get started. In the meantime, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping rules. Everyone is currently muted. I am going to be taking questions at the end of the call. This webinar should take 30 to 40 minutes, so we do want to allow some time for questions to be asked. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and jot them down and I will unmute you and take your questions at the end of the call. And just another note, this webinar is being recorded. So if you have to leave for whatever reason, just know we will have this recording available in our Zoho knowledge base. All right, looks like we have a good group going. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So again, for those who just joined, my name is Adriana, and I'm going to be walking you through how to create emails today, how to send emails, and also we're going to review the two templates that you have available to you as a Zen client. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So for those of you who are current Zen clients, you may have noticed the new interface. It's very different, but it's a lot more organized. So what you're going to do first, and the first thing I want to show you is reviewing the two templates that you already have available in your account. So we're going to hover over email and click templates. Okay, and we'll let that catch up for just a quick second. So the first template that you're going to see in your account is going to be the email confirmation template. And to actually see the template, all you're going to do is click on the name. And so you will see we have it customized with your header. So in the header should be your logo that you see up at the very top, an image, which is very easy for you to switch out, and I will show you how to do that. And then you have some placeholder text here. So this is pretty much a blank template for you, with the exception of the customized header and the footer and your social media links in the center there. Right below that, we'll have your social media icons, whichever ones you gave to us at the beginning of the implementation process. And those should all be linked to the respective accounts. And then down below, we'll have your footer information and an unsubscribe link. And again, this is just the email confirmation template, which is basically a blank template. And the next one we have is a responsive newsletter template. So you'll see the formatting is definitely different, and there's a lot more to this template. So again, you will have the customized header, an image, and then we have placeholder text again, but we have buttons in here to link to your pages on your site, for example. So this button here doesn't have to read, learn about your impact. You can link this button to anywhere you'd like it to go, and we'll walk through how to do that. And right below that, we'll have different sections here where you can add text and then again, link your buttons to different areas on your site. Placeholder images, a link to your donate page, which is on your website, the NKG Network's donation form. Again, a couple of more images and placeholder text below with more buttons. The footer is going to be the same across both templates. We'll have your social media links, and then down below we'll have your contact information and always have an unsubscribe link. Okay, so now let's go back to the email templates, and I will show you how to duplicate your templates. So you do have these two master copies, and when you go to prepare your own email, you don't want to make the changes on the master copy so that it doesn't affect all of your emails moving forward, and you'll always have that original copy. So it's really easy to duplicate really a lot of things here in Engaging Networks, which is really nice. So over here, over to the right, you're going to have a dupe button, and it looks kind of like a sheet of paper. So you're going to click on that, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it now, and then it's going to prompt you to enter a name for your template. So I'm just going to call this test copy, and you're going to click duplicate to confirm. And now you will see the copy here. So now to open it again, you're going to click on the name, and it's an exact copy of the confirmation email template. So now you can make any changes you want here without affecting the master copy. So a couple of things to go over here, and this is just a basic WYSIWYG editor. For those of you who are not familiar with that, it's just what you see is what you get. That's what it stands for. And you can do some of the, all of the basic functions that you are familiar with. But let's go ahead and review some of these. So the image here, if you want to replace the image and upload your own, you're going to click on this little icon here with, it looks like a sun in the background and a mountain range. So you click on that and you'll see the image, the original image here. But if you want to upload your own, all you do is move over to upload and click on select images. It's going to redirect you to your computer where you can then select your image. And if you already have images in your folder in your Engaging Networks account, for those of you who are Zen clients, you will have some images in here that we've already used for your Engaging Networks account build out. For example, you'll definitely find your logo in white and purple. So those are always going to be there now. And then any images that we've used, if you've already built out your peer-to-peer site, for example, you should have all those images there. Any ticketed event images that we use for that build out will all be located here, and you can organize them if you like with folders, but you can't. This is how you would go to upload an image if you needed to replace this image here. Adding text is as simple as setting your cursor where you want it to go and start typing away. If you need to link or relink any of the text that you're going to be adding, all you want to do is highlight that text, and there's going to be two icons here that look like a little link, paperclip. So if you click on link here, you would drop your URL here. If it's going to be an email, so for example, if you want someone to contact you and you want to link your email address, you'll want to change the link type to email and then enter the email address. And you don't have to add the subject or body if it's not going to be, preset subject and preset body text. If you can leave that blank and click OK. And we have some formatting or styling options here, which you all should be familiar with: bold, italicize, underline, strike through, and then over here on the right, some header formats. So for example, this here, the thank you for changing a life, is one of the header options. You'll see them, they're identified because they're a little bit bigger than most of just the paragraph text, and they're usually in bold. So you can use those preset heading options for styling. You'll see fonts, the size of the font, and then text color, background color. And if you're copying and pasting from Word, I would advise you to use these options here: paste as plain text or paste from Word. Word always, anytime you copy and paste directly from Word into an editor, there's always coding in the background that you don't actually see in Word. And so that'll help strip that coding out. And that usually throws off some of the formatting. Another option would be to copy and paste the content into a Notepad document and from Notepad into your editor here. And just like you hyperlink text, we do the same thing when we're hyperlinking any images or your social media icons. So these are all linked. But if you want to break the link and then hyperlink it again, or if you want to add additional social media links that you don't see there, then again, you would upload the image first, then click on it and click on the little link icon here. We also have bulleted lists and number lists, and then you can increase and decrease the indent of your paragraphs and text alignment. One thing that you don't see here, which is really important, and I personally like to do this for any emails that are sent just to make it a little bit more personal, is insert merge data. And what I mean by that is any of these contact data fields, if you want to insert them at the very, very beginning, for example, a salutation. So dear first name. So we'll go ahead, I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to put my salutation in there, and then I want to insert the first name. All of these that you see in the blue bar are going to be where you're going to find that type of data. So you're going to click on this little person icon, click on this drop down here, and this is a list of all the fields that make up a typical contact record in engaging networks. So you're going to select your first name and click OK. Any merged data should show up in these brackets here. And then, of course, I'll show you how to test your email before you send it out so that you can make sure that that is working properly. All right, and then once you're done, you're going to click Save. And now we're going to go ahead and X out of here, and I'm going to show you how to create your email campaign. All right, so now we have our copy ready to go. Now to get to the actual wizard, which will walk you through step by step on how to send an email, we're going to click on Email again, and we're going to click on Manage Emails. And we're going to click a new campaign. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to select the type of campaign. Now, we're not going to go into the other options really deep at this moment, but we will have other webinars where we will be covering more of the advanced features of the marketing automation and email flow. So for today's example, we're going to look at a one-off email campaign. But just to explain to you what these options are here, they are pretty advanced and sophisticated. So, I mean, definitely something to look into and potentially use in the future or for future campaigns. But let's talk about split testing just to start. So split testing, if you ever create multiple emails and you're just not sure which email you want to send out, maybe one of them has a slightly different subject line than the other, and you want to test to see which one is going to get a better response. That's where you would use the split testing campaign option. So it's essentially that you have split test version A, split test version B, and there's only one element of that email that is different. And what happens is then once you prepare your split test campaign, so you would prepare your emails, prepare your split test campaign, and send it out. Half of your audience will receive version A, half will receive version B, and then after you send that out, you can see in the email reporting section which one gets a better open rate, a click-through rate, etc. So that's what split testing involves. Now we have conditional content. And so conditional content would be if you sent out an email and based on someone's response, you want to then send follow-up emails or take other actions on that supported record. And so conditional, it's based on how your audience is responding. So then you set conditions based on how they respond. So that is conditional content. And then split test conditioning content is a mix of both. So you have, version AB as one email set, and then you can add conditions to that email campaign And that is based again on how people are responding or how your audience is responding. So if they take an action, then you can set a condition to say, if this person clicks on this link, then send email number 3. And again, that is an advanced feature of the email piece in Engaging Networks, which we will go into at a later time. But for now, let's focus on the one email campaign. By default, it will already be pre-selected. It'll be, and you know that it will be selected because it's in the blue. So should change colors when you select your option there. You're going to name your email campaign. So this is going to be test email campaign. Get a little creative there, and click go. And so first, you're going to want to enter your subject line. And then you're going to select your sender. Okay. Now, most of you will probably just have 1 or 2 names here, but if you want to add any new senders, all you do is click on the pencil icon, click New, enter the name, and enter the email address, and click Save. Okay, just like this. And now if you wanted to select that newly created name and email, you click on it once until it turns green, select and close. And so now I've selected the sender. Now there's also going to be a reply to field. So the reply to is if you send this email, you receive it, and someone hits reply. This is the person who will receive that response. It can be the same or it can be different. So you can select same as sender. And if I had selected Big Brother and Sisters of America, then it would show me that in this field too. So it would replicate that in here. And now you have 3 options down here for how you want to actually create your email. So the first option is duplicate from an existing email. Now, when you go to your email section, likely you haven't sent out any emails, so you're not going to have anything in this list. However, once you send out your first email campaign, if you want to start from that specific email that you sent previously, then you're going to select it from this drop-down list here. If you want to start from a template, which in this example, we're going to start with that because we created that test copy we want to start with, then you can start from your template. And your third option is starting from a blank email or from code. And for those of you who are familiar with like MailChimp or Constant Contact, if you want to say copy over one of your templates from that account, maybe you had that in the past and now you've switched over to Engaging Networks, you can definitely do that. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to export or copy the HTML, which is usually in the source area. And I'll show you once I open up this email where to find that. And then you're going to copy that and then you will paste it into a blank email in Engaging Networks, and you're going to paste it into the source area again. And that should transfer over the not only the content, but also the styling. You may need to, tweak it a little bit, but it'll, for the most part, copy it all over. So you don't have to recreate it or start from scratch. Okay, so we're going to start from our copy. So I'm going to select that and click go. So here's the copy. And what I was referring to, if you want to copy over any templates that you have in another account, then you're going to grab that HTML. And so what I mean by that and where you can find that, typically it's labeled source. So you click over to source and you literally copy all of this code. So Control A and Control C on your keyboard. And then I would suggest that you maybe just copy that into a Notepad document and save it so that save it somewhere on your computer so that you have that template now copied locally onto your computer. Then once you have it there, you're going to, again, take that code and you're going to switch over to HTML or rich text editor if you flip over to source either way, and paste your code into an email in Engaging Networks. And that again will pull over all of the styling features on the content. And again, you may need to tweak some things a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it'll all copy over. Okay, so now in the email wizard, unlike in the template section, you're going to have a plain text editor. Now, I would say 90% of your email recipients will be able to receive HTML, and HTML means just this rich text version that you're seeing here with the images and the styling and the colors. However, there are some of your recipients who won't have their computer settings set to receive HTML, and they only receive their email in plain text. We don't want to ignore them. We also want to make sure that they are able to read the email. And so anytime you're creating an email, you're going to want to click over to plain text editor and click on generate plain text from HTML. So you don't actually have to type in the plain text version. You just click on this button here and it'll generate it for you. And now we have our HTML version and we have our plain text version, and we're ready to go. Okay, so now we're going to scroll all the way down here and click Save. Okay, if I was missing something, for example, don't worry, because this system will definitely remind you that you're missing something. So if you're not able to, in fact, it won't let you save your template until you have all of the pieces filled in. And so it'll prompt you if you're missing your subject line, or if there's no sender there, or the reply to email is missing. That's the nice thing of these wizards here. So now we're going to click on Send Options. And now we're going to preview the email. We're also going to test the email. And this section is where you would go to also select any saved queries that you've built. So your list of people that are going to be receiving this email, or you can create and build your queries from here as well. So let's start with previewing the email. Over on the left-hand side, click on the preview button. And over on the right, you're going to see three options. So the first one is Preview Desktop. So this is how it's going to look essentially on a desktop. If you click over to Preview Mobile, you're going to have several options, which is really nice. It's definitely important to make sure that your emails are mobile friendly, which they are. These templates that we create for you are mobile responsive, so they will look great on on a mobile device. And you can test several different types of devices here. So the first one you see is the Galaxy S3, Lumia 900, and then an iPhone and iPhone 4. So it gives you an idea of how it's going to look. You can also preview tablet view. Click over to Preview Tablet, and we have three options here, iPod being the most common, Nexus, and the Kindle Fire. So this definitely will save you a little bit of time as far as, testing it on mobile as well, because otherwise you would have to, create it, send it to yourself, open it up on your phone, and this just saves you that step. So definitely make sure to preview the email. And always make sure to test your email. So if you click Test, this is where you would add the recipient of the test. So, add your email address in here and click Add. You can add multiple recipients, so just keep entering emails, and then they will show up here in that blue bar, and you click Send Test. And if you tested your email, or if you previewed your email and you found that you needed to make some changes to it, you can go back to edit the email from here as well. All right, and the next step is selecting the campaign type. So you have three options here: advocacy, fundraising, and newsletter. So advocacy is typically what we use, and that's like your subscribe form, for example, on your website. Down at the very bottom of your footer is what we would categorize as an advocacy campaign type. Fundraising if your email has anything to do with donations or making a donation or anything like that, you'll want to select fundraising, and then newsletter is a newsletter. And the reason why this is important is because later down the line, let's say, for example, after you use Engaging Networks for a year, and the next year you want to say, well, how did we do with our newsletter? Should we revamp it? Are people engaged? Are they opening it? You will be able to run aggregate reports if you select the campaign type every time you send out an email. So that will show up in the query area of Engaging Networks, and you can build queries based on that data. Okay, over here, the next step is going to be your queries. So who are you sending this to? And if you already have a pre-built query, so you've built it out in the supporter area outside of the email wizard, and you just want to select it, so you would go to saved queries and then just select it, so it'll be the little bubble there, and click next. If you click on advanced search, this will allow you to build it from scratch. So I'm going to show you what I mean. And we'll just, in this example, just do a really simple query. So I'm just going to select all users. And we do have other training on our Zoho supportal. If you have any questions on how to build queries specifically, definitely refer to our trainings in Zoho support. And click next. And the next step is scheduling your email. So do you want to send it immediately? Is one option, and that's going to be pre-selected by default. If you wanted to schedule it for a later date, you're going to click on this little bubble here, select your date, and select your time, and then you're going to select your time zone as well. And finally, you'll want to review everything in this section here. It is actually really important. So you want to make sure that the subject line is what you want it to reflect on your email. You have the correct sender, and more importantly, you have the right list. So if, say, you're only sending it to a small list and the number is huge, then you did something wrong and you want to go back and look at your query and make sure it's correct. And the final step is click send, which we're not going to do now, but that's all you would need to do to send a one-off email. Okay. So now we're going to talk a little bit about marketing automation. We're not going to dive deep into the subject. There is a lot to it. It is very sophisticated, and we do have, some examples of how you can use it. But again, we may cover it in a different webinar. Just for this webinar, we wanted to, review the templates and review how to send a one-off email campaign to get you started. So we'll go over to the settings section. So if you click on your drop down here, you're going to see account settings. And there are some email settings here that you'll want to set up before you use any marketing automation. Again, we're not going to go really deep into it, but you would go there, and then also under email, you have some settings in here. Now, if you're going to be using the split test, for example, this is where you go to tell the system what is going to be the winner of your split test. So is it based on open rate? Is it based on click-through rate? Or is it based on page conversions? So I'll explain a little bit about these three options here. So the win criteria, again, for a split test campaign, you would have version A, version B, and that's a simple split test campaign. In a split test campaign, you can have more than two, but again, only one element should be different for it to be effective. So open rate would mean how many people opened the email campaign. So if version A was opened more than version B, if we had this selected just the way it looks here, then our winner would be version A. Click-through rate, if you have a link inside of your email and they actually click on that link to go to the next step, that would be the criteria for click-through rate. So if your version B email has a higher click-through rate than version A, then if you selected this option, that would be the winner, version B. And page conversions is one step further. So if you have an email with a link to a form and they complete the form, that would be a page conversion. And so again, you can select which one is going to be the winner, or what criteria you want to select to be the winner for split test. Okay, now over in data and reports, we have a section called profiles. And these profiles here really allow you to target specific supporters based on actions they've previously taken. And this is also going to allow you to engage with your peer-to-peer donors as well. So again, this is part of the marketing automation piece in Engaging Networks. Very sophisticated, and I think it's fairly easy to use based on my experience. I've worked in marketing automation for over 10 years now and used several different types of systems, and this is definitely pretty user-friendly to create a marketing automation campaign. So we'll look at the profile section and click on new profile. And I just want to give you a preview of how this would work essentially when you create a marketing automation campaign. And another thing, if you feel like you don't have the resources or the time to create a campaign and you want help from us, we're definitely available for that. So just reach out to us and we can provide you with a quote on, and talk to you a little bit about what you want to do and what your goal is. So the profile, let's just go ahead and just, again, me and my creative self will label this test. And your filter conditions are and or. So if you had multiple conditions or multiple profiles, would you select or and that's, I guess, a question of, do you want to say if this profile and also include the second profile, or include the second profile based on a condition? I know it sounds confusing, but I'll show you an example of how it all works. And then down here you have your filter types. So you can select your filter type, and down here the peer-to-peer filter types are pretty, again, another advanced feature. So if you want to say, I want to target peer-to-peer donors who have raised a certain amount, you're going to add your filter, and you want to say find supporters who have raised at least $100 maybe. And then in these sites, it will list all of your peer-to-peer sites. So then you would select your peer-to-peer template. And during the state range, during the last time you ran that campaign, on a specific date, since this date or before this date. So you have a lot of options there. So we're going to say during the state range, and then you would select your date range. And click apply. And then you would click save. Okay, so now we have this profile here. And this is our test profile. Now, in that email wizard, I'm going to bounce to this screen here just for a second, just to show you how it actually works in conjunction with the email wizard. So we're going to click on this here and click on the little envelope to take us back. Actually, we're going to click on the send option. Okay, here. So when you go to build your query, you have a profiles option. And so you'll see profiles, and you should see my test in here for the profile that I just created. And I don't see it there. It's interesting. Well, it should show up in here when you create the profile and you have it set in here. All you would do is you would select add, and then you would be able to target specifically those peer-to-peer donors that have raised $100. That's how you use the profiles in conjunction with the email wizard. And again, we will go through that at a later time, and same with the marketing automation piece. But just for now, let me go ahead and show you how that works. So those two pieces that I just showed you, the settings and the profiles, is something that you would create before you create your marketing automation campaign. So now we're going to click on email and marketing automation, and I just want to show you an example of how this works. Okay, and this is a very basic marketing automation campaign. For those of you who are familiar with mind maps, MindJet is another program that uses this type of workflow. So it really actually shows you a visual of how it's all going to flow. And so in this case, I'm just sending an email, and I want to show you the beginning of it here. So who am I sending this to? Is supporters who have donated. Okay. And then the next step is the workflow. So the first step I have here is send an email. And if you click on this pencil icon, it will take you to an email editor where you go to create your email. And okay. And then you have a couple of steps here over on the left. So wait. If you wanted to delay the next step a day or more, for example, so you send the email and then you don't want to send the next email right away, or maybe you want to set a condition in between those steps. So I'm going to click on the pencil icon to show you. So you can set your duration. You put in the number of days or weeks before the next step. So you put that in between. And now this step is connected to a decision step. And mine here is if the donation is complete. And these are all the options here. Recurring donation is complete, a single donation is complete, a supporter field is updated, a page converted. So again, page conversion is someone who clicks on a link and follows through the next steps, maybe filling out a form. An email is clicked, an email is open, or an email sent but not opened. So those are some of the conditions you can set. And then my next step was sending an email. So then the final step, and this is again a very, very simple campaign. Thank you for your donation. And that's the end of this marketing automation workflow. And again, we will have another webinar where we cover a lot more of the marketing automation piece. The nice thing about this template and the way that this marketing automation piece works is you just literally drag and drop the steps. So for example, if I wanted to add another wait time, I literally drag it. It creates a little link here so you know that this email then would follow with a wait time. So I can wait another day or another week or 2 days to send another email. And it's all drag and drop. And up here under quick stats, you'll have, your open rates, your click-through rates, how many donations were made based off of this workflow, and how many actions were taken. So open, click, or conversion. And you can also run reports in the query section based off of all this information. And so you can see there's definitely a lot of options that you can use this in, or different scenarios where you can find this helpful. If somebody hasn't raised a specific amount of, if you have a certain goal that you want your peer-to-peer supporters to raise and they haven't, you can target those specifically, for example. And if they reach their goal, so again, the if condition would help you there, then you can stop the campaign at that point, or maybe you want to follow it up with a totally different marketing automation flow. All right, and that is about all I wanted to cover for today. I did want to mention a couple things. We are going to be offering a year-end campaign basic series, so that's going to include 3 email templates and a strategy calendar for any existing Zen clients. And for any new prospects who are on the phone now, if you sign up now or before the end of the year, you will also get those 3 templates and the strategy calendar. So if you would like for us to add that to your account, just go ahead and email support@Zuri Group. Let us know that you were on this call, and we'll go ahead and add those templates and provide you with that strategy calendar. And so the 3 templates include your dollars at work template. So your audience would be past donors, and the goal would be to highlight the great work that Big Brothers Big Sisters is doing and that they've done in prior years. And then we have a Giving Tuesday email template. And again, your audience would be past donors and also new donors. And an introduction, the goal would be an introduction to Giving Tuesday. And then the final one we have is the year-end campaign. So mark it on your calendar for a year-end goal. And your audience is going to be past donors, new donors, and your goal would be to shift from the Giving Tuesday to a year-end donation. And so those are the 3 templates that you will get. And along with that is a strategy calendar, which it's really nice to have, just to have it on the calendar to send specific emails at a certain time of year and make it easy for you to also share with your team if there's going to be others involved, and just you can display it in your office. Okay, so that covers everything for today. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and take questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and either raise your hand. There should be a little hand icon on the GoToWebinar panel, or you can click on the question mark icon and type in your questions if you'd rather do that. If you raise your hand, I'm going to unmute your line. And bear with us. If there's multiple people asking questions, we'll just take the first one who raises their hand. And while we're waiting, just one question that I have had come up several times is, do we have a limit on how many emails we can send? You don't. You can create as many email templates as you'd like and send as many emails as you'd like as well. I know there are some systems where you're limited to in the amount, but you are not. All right.
Adriana, this is Kim. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. Hey, if we're waiting for any more questions, or maybe there aren't any questions at this time, I just wanted to jump in here and say, great job. That was a thorough review. And if people if you want to learn more about the marketing automation piece, we do have a webinar that's been recorded that's in our support portal that is a very in-depth walkthrough of setting up campaigns. So we'll send, after this email, after this webinar, we'll send out a recording of this webinar and links to the ones about query builders, and also links to the one about the in-depth marketing automation.
Thank you. All right, and we do have one question from William, and William wants to know, where do we send the email to get the 3 templates? So William, you're just going to send it to support@zurigroup.com. And just mention that you were on the email marketing webinar, and our team will know what you're referring to. You're welcome. Okay. Okay, Alex is asking, how much do the templates cost? Well, if you're already an existing Zen client, nothing. We'll give them to you for free. You just have to email support@zurigroup.com. And if you're not and you would like to receive these and become a Zen client, then you'll want to sign up with us before the end of the year. And if you need us to reach out and you want to have a conversation about that, you can email support, or Kim, is that okay if they email you?
Yes.
Okay. And so Kim@zurigroup.com if you want to have a conversation and you're not already a client.
Yeah, and just a note on those templates. So this is kind of a basic starter set that we've identified. Hey, if you're not doing year-end campaigns, this is a great place to start. We will actually be having another whole webinar on year-end campaigns at the end of next month. But we're gonna, we want to provide at least 3 sample templates, so it'll have the email template, sort of the design and the content, and we'll drop them into your account, and then you'll be in charge of sending them. If you want to get more extensively into year-end campaigns and you want to do a larger series, like a series of 5 or a series of 10, we're working on that strategy calendar and those email templates as well. So the basic set of 3 templates is free to existing clients or people who sign up by the end of the year. And then if you want to sort of, supersize it, if you will, then we can send you our pricing on the larger packages, and or if you want us to set up, actually send the email campaigns for you out of your account or set up marketing automation, those items would be at an additional charge, but we're happy to do it. So whatever you're interested in.
Okay. And let's take a look and see if we have any other questions. Again, if you do have a question, just go ahead and click on the hand icon in the GoToWebinar panel, or you can click on the question mark icon and type in your questions.
Yeah, and I think there's also a chat section too. That's the only one I can see. So I'm wondering, maybe not everybody can see those other.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with GoToWebinar as I am with GoToMeeting, and the interface is a little different.
It is different. Definitely different. All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions in the queue, so I want to thank everybody for joining us on the webinar today. Again, just as a reminder, we will have this webinar recorded and available in our Soho support portal, and Kim will also be sending this as a follow-up in an email. And stay tuned for any future webinars. We will be hosting more upcoming webinars at the end of the year, so stay tuned. And again, thanks again for joining us. Have a great day.